Welcome to a very special edition of AB Talks. Again, we're here at Arabian Travel Market at the Dubai World Trade Center, and I'm delighted to be joined by a special guest today, Issam Kazim, the CEO of Dubai Tourism. Issam, welcome to AB Talks.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we've got breaking news just in. Apparently the regulations, more good news for the Dubai tourism industry, 100% occupancy at hotels. Talk us through your reaction, talk us through some of the new regulations.
Obviously, it's exciting for us as well. I mean, in true Dubai spirit, as you know, from COVID period, we wanted to make sure that things went under lockdown. We had to make sure that the safety, security, and the hygiene aspect of things were really, under tight management. So once we were comfortable with that, in parallel, we were planning on the new policies and procedures to ensure that we can start thinking about opening up as well.
Yeah.
So the resumption of business is something that's of top priority to us, just as much as being a safe destination. What we did was we practiced that in May 2020, rolled it out locally for domestic tourism, piloting it in a very strict manner, able to ease it up a little bit until we got to a very comfortable balance. Then we opened up in July for international travel, and we've been seeing numbers grow since then. And I think now we've gotten to a stage where we feel comfortable, we feel safe, we feel confident enough to know that we can now start getting more and more people in. And we've said it's about time we allow the hotels to go back to 100% because of that sense of security that we have with them.
It must be great to announce this at Arabian Travel Market as well. What's been the initial reaction amongst the tourism stakeholders here?
Of course, I mean, our stakeholders have been eagerly waiting for this announcement. So they're very, very excited for it. I think it's good to know what's more important is that we can sense that demand is there. I mean, globally, you can imagine the anxiety that people are having from not being able to travel for such a long period of time. They're anxious, they want to get out. And everyone is very well aware of the measures that Dubai has taken. So on a consumer level, most people, at least from the gauging that we have done, from the different campaigns that we've run across all the different markets that we're interested in, we can see that they're very, very excited about coming to Dubai. They feel so safe about visiting Dubai. So for us, that's a huge tick. So I think this kind of announcement means that we've already looked at gaining the upper funnel audience. And now it's about moving them down through consideration and to conversion into a visit.
Now, tell me a little bit about the journey, because I think we've talked about an unprecedented partnership between the hospitality industry and then Dubai Tourism as the regulator, yes. And you've worked hand in hand. So it's been a journey to get to today. How do you feel about that journey? How proud are you about that journey, both from the public side and from the private sector, joining hands together?
I think, if I'm absolutely honest, Dubai has always been built on a private-public relationship, and that's been the true key to Dubai's success, and I can proudly say that is still the case today. When we were under lockdown, what we did was we made sure that we are in constant dialogue and in immediate contact with every single one of our stakeholders. We had sessions with them instead of quarterly, which we usually do. We started having those on a weekly basis. So making sure that they are as aware as we are with everything that's happening, because again, there was the unknown. And usually the fear of the unknown is knowing that is there something out there that we're not aware of. But letting them know that as soon as we're getting in information, they're getting up-to-minute updates as well. So those are the kind of things that really help the industry realize that, you know what, this is truly a partnership. And it's not like now that it's in lockdown, everyone's forgotten who we are and they don't care about us anymore. And I think that spirit came through. And I think that support that we get from them is truly based on that as well. Because whenever we've reached out to them, telling them that, look, the markets are going to start opening up, we need to be very careful about how we manage the business going forward, because you cannot think about a quick recovery for what 2020 meant, but it's actually building something that's sustainable. So those are the kind of things that these partners are now playing their part and making sure that when the customers visit Dubai for the first time, the guests come to Dubai for the first time after such a long period of time, they don't visit once. They enjoy what they see, the service is amazing, and even the prices are up to what they would have expected to pay for the quality that they get, and they end up coming back again and again.
To go back to today's announcement, I say not only 100% occupancy for hotels, but we see live entertainment back, and we also see concerts for vaccinated attendees. So a lot to look forward to in Q3 and Q4. Is this getting back to the Dubai we knew and loved prior to COVID?
To be honest with you, I hope so, yes. But again, better in the sense that it's going to be a lot more hygienic, if that's the word. But it's about making sure that we still wear masks, we still have the hand sanitizers everywhere, and the vaccination program is a very, very important part of it as well. It's because, again, at the end of the day, it's a sign that says like, look, we are in this new world now, given the current circumstances. Things have changed. They're not the way that they were in 2019, and we have to accept that. And with that, we need to also accept the changes that's going to come, because we want everybody to feel safe and secure when they're out and about in Dubai. So these are wise, I think these are wise decisions that are made to nudge people in the right direction, to ensure that we are putting the best practices in place so that we can actually go out and to as close as a normal life of pre-COVID as well.
Now, we're having to talk up a little bit because we've got an incredible buzz coming from this event, coming from the crowds, coming from the attendees. How do you feel today? The doors are open and you can hear that. You can see people networking.
I've been saying this to all of our guests here as well. To me, it feels like one of those celebrations that you look forward to every year. It's a chance where you get to see the industry, you meet your friends from the trade, and get a chance to exchange ideas and also thoughts about what's coming up, about the new strategies and so on. And to see this back again after such a long period of time is amazing. But also what makes me feel proud and excited at the same time is the fact that being in Dubai Tourism, being in Dubai, this is the first travel trade in-person event to take place globally.
Yeah.
So obviously it's a very, very proud moment for us. And to see that you have about over 60 countries that have actually participated. You have over 90 nationalities that have flown in to visit the event and attend the event as well. I think it's something to be very proud of.
What does that tell you about pent-up global demand? The fact you've got 60 countries exhibiting, you've got people from 90 different countries. What does that tell you about the global appetite for Dubai? And what do you see for Q3, Q4 of 2021?
I think, to be honest with you, with all the campaigns that we've run, so we haven't been quiet this whole time. Ever since the lockdown, we rolled out a series of campaigns, and some of them were just literally a message of solidarity, right? Because we didn't want to disconnect from the people. Just like we didn't want to disconnect with the trade on the ground, we didn't want to disconnect with the consumers and visitors of Dubai. So we sent out the first campaign early on during COVID, where it was basically telling them, till we meet again. Telling them that, look, we're in the lockdown right now. We all are, let's be smart about it. Let's be wise about it. Let's stick to this and let's stick together and, we'll come through it. And then we were showing them images and videos of Dubai, literally, Sheikh Zayed Road, empty. The beaches, empty.
Remember, yeah.
So it's very important for us to show them that we're going through this just the way you are. And that message, I think, resonated really well with them. And then once we started to gauge that, then people are starting to search for travel, and Dubai was being the place that they're searching for, we switched that campaign to more of a throwbacks, memories of what you could do in Dubai, jet skiing, sunbathing, dining, everything that you could do and you used to do, but you miss about Dubai. So we started to push that in there as well and saying, ready when you are. But we also had a bit of a tongue-in-cheek approach to it, where we show someone practicing putting in his living room, while we're showing you Dubai, we're perfectly manicuring the putting greens, and we're saying we're ready when you are as well. So it was a nice way, and it got great engagement from the audience. Then we moved into the stage that we find ourselves in most markets, which is Live Your Story, which is moving them further down the funnel and telling them that, look, you've seen that, you've dreamt about it, now's the time here as well. We're getting closer to it, or we're already there in some markets. Let's book that trip, let's come to Dubai, and let's book those experiences, and let's make them happen for real. All of that was complemented with all the efforts that are being done by the government as well as private sector on the hygiene measures, the cleanliness, the sanitization, and all the new practices that are being put into place as well. So those two working together in tandem makes people like today feel so comfortable, so confident to come to Dubai, and they know that there's nothing for them to be worried about. And that gives us an amazing platform to rebound from, to hopefully get closer and closer to the 2019 numbers. And even if you look at the search, because every campaign that we do, we look at how the search has been spiking for Dubai from around the world. Everyone's interested to come to Dubai. So now it's just about making sure that the ones who are able to, that we have enough connectivity and enough capacity to fill to come in, and the ones who are not there yet in terms of the green zone or the gateway, we will make sure that we're encouraging them to be aware of this as well.
Before we come on to that, what are you telling the guys here at the show? Like, if you're looking at Q3, Q4, what are you saying to hoteliers? I mean, how do they get ready for Q3 and Q4? Should they be staffing up now? Should they be in recruitment mode already?
I think to be honest, the ramping up should start already, because summer is a time we're going to be pushing our Dubai Summer Surprises program, which we always have.
Yeah.
And this year is going to be obviously better than and bigger than last year, because last year was during the lockdown period as well. So we're hoping, to push this quite a bit. And that in itself is going to give them enough of a boost, or should give them enough of a boost to leverage. Most of the places where we attract travelers from, the key source markets, haven't been able to travel for a long period of time, and not many markets are open for them, or they're not safe with many of the markets that are open. So we could be anticipating and should be anticipating people coming in from those places as well. So they need to be prepared for that. But then when you look beyond that, we also have Expo coming up, which is in October. So that is also another important event for them to be able to ramp up and get comfortable with the ramping up by the time Expo hits in. So there are many reasons that the ramp up should start already.
Now you've mentioned Expo, let's just talk about that for a moment.
Sure.
Because it's huge. And you've got Expo, plus you've also got the Jubilee this year as well. I mean, from your kind of calculations or models, how big a boost is that going to give to tourism here in Dubai?
I think, look, it's come at the right time, because we're talking about a strategy that was announced in 2013. We talked about year-on-year growth since then. We had the 2012 numbers were 10 million visitors, upon which we built the strategy. Since then, we've seen year-on-year growth that has surpassed the UNWTO average. Until 2019. 2019, we had 16.73 million visitors that came into Dubai. We moved from number 7 in 2013 to number 4, and we've been inching in closer and closer to the number 3 position of the most visited city globally. So all of the indication was towards Dubai continuing that growth. January and February of 2020 was record numbers for us as well. We saw 4.2% growth during that period of time. March happened and we were in lockdown. So I think there's a lot of great groundwork that has already been done. We have the foundation in place. We're ready to build up on that in a very, very big way. So with Expo coming at this time now, post-COVID, it gives us a chance to really leverage it in the best way possible, to really get back and boost what we missed out on during the 2020 period of time, not only from the leisure tourism side of things and the business tourism side of things, of course, but also from the other initiatives that were launched recently, whether it's the virtual working program or the golden visa or relocation of businesses, so on and so forth, because it would be the ideal scenario where Dubai is being showcased in every possible way of how people can conduct business and live their life here in Dubai.
We're going to come on to that for a second. But you talk about the 4th most visited city. You're never going to be happy with number 4, are you? I mean, you're clearly aiming for number 1, yeah?
As Dubai and in true Dubai spirit, we always try to be number 1 in whatever it is that we do.
Is 2021 the year you get onto the podium at the very least?
I think, look, to be honest, it all depends. It's a very tricky period of time. You have some markets that are open to you and others that are open to some others as well. So it's a very difficult time for us to assess. It's also going to be an opportunity for many other countries to see this as a reset. So they might be trying to capture a lot of the market share from other potential big players as well. So I think it'll be a difficult one to gauge at this point in time. But I think we have quite a significant amount of opportunity at our disposal, that if we work and continue to work as well as we do with our partners and be able to pull all the strings that has been, is available to us, and bring the private and public sector together, hopefully we can inch closer and closer.
Talk to me a little bit more about the remote working visa. I've been talking to Email this morning, and they obviously have a number of residences, and they were telling us about the number of people who came to Dubai, looked around and just went, I'm staying, I'm not going back to lockdown, I'm staying here. How's that program working out for you? This is becoming a place where people can live and work remotely and enjoy their lives.
I think we always knew that, right? I think people who live in Dubai always knew that and took that for granted. And we're always scratching our head. I mean, I was scratching my head thinking, why aren't we ever mentioned in many of these lists that say like, oh, it's the best place to live, right? Because anybody you ask, and we have more than 80% of the population made up of people who chose Dubai to be home, right? And many of them have been here for a few generations now. And you know that that's the case for all of them. So COVID, lockdown, people found themselves stuck here because the ports were closed. They couldn't go back again. And the leadership of the UAE immediately said, you know what, extend their visas for free. Let them feel comfortable. We don't want them to have that extra layer of insecurity, right? So we made sure that was done. And we noticed that a lot of people started working from here and also didn't want to go back once things started to ease up a little bit or the opportunity was there. So we launched the virtual working program as a soft launch to kind of like give them that opportunity. Once we saw that that's actually been picked up quite well, we made that an official program and we launched it properly. And I think it was that time that many of these people who used to also think of Dubai as a 2-3 day transit destination only, thinking that, yes, it's got those beautiful buildings and stuff, but there's not much depth to it. This time they got a chance to really experience it firsthand. They really saw that, no, hold on a second, there's so much more to Dubai.
Yeah.
There are these different communities, there's the different neighborhoods, there are different cultural things that are happening here. The restaurant scene is something that is unbelievable and probably second to none. And all those things, all those factors started to play a huge role. And that's why we started seeing more and more people doing that. And that gave us a chance to not just think of the virtual working program, because first that's the first step. Then it's to launch the Golden Visa program and also to help businesses relocate to Dubai as well.
And you talk about people staying. 2020, the Staycation was one of the success stories, shall we say, of 2020.
Yes.
Helped the touring industry enormously. We had the world's coolest winter, I think that's what we call. How big a play is Staycation, is that here to stay? Because we've got these people here who are now staying, who are going out and experiencing communities and venues that they've never seen before.
Absolutely. I think it is. And I think it's something that it's very important for our stakeholders. So therefore it's important to us as well. Because I think you will always find pockets and windows of shoulder period. Now, of course, for us, from a tourism perspective, my role is to ensure that we don't have shoulder periods and we try to plug every shoulder period with tourists coming in. But at the same time, there's also a responsibility that we have to our partners. So if there is a program that they're interested in to attract local community and domestic community and resident community of the UAE, then we will work with them on those initiatives, and we will help them push those out as well. And in some cases, even run those programs from our side to ensure that we are not neglecting a huge catchment that we have over here. Because again, because of that 80% plus population that are non-native, they play a huge role in the VFR, the visiting friends and relatives aspect of tourism as well. So if these guys are experiencing great facilities and hotels and services in Dubai, they will be advocating and promoting that even more to their relatives coming in.
We talk about visiting relatives, friends and relatives. There are some friends and relatives who can't visit us right now. How much are we missing the British? And what kind of conversations are taking place? Because, Arabian Business was reporting the other day how the UAE is the second most global COVID pandemic resilience nation in the world. We've got incredibly low COVID cases. We've got one of the highest number of vaccinations in the world. So what kind of conversations are happening about that red list status? Because it does, from my perspective as a Brit, seem a little harsh.
I think, look, I'm glad to hear it from your perspective as well, because you live here, you live and breathe and experience Dubai on a daily basis. So you know exactly what's happening over here. All I can say is, from our side, as I mentioned earlier, we have our marketing campaigns on lockdown. We know that the search for Dubai is high. Every person that we speak to, even from the media in the UK, are telling you that Dubai is the first place we're going to come to the minute things open up. So we know that everyone's on our side. Now it's just a discussion between G to G and trying to see what else do we need to show in order for them to feel comfortable about, people from there coming and visiting Dubai and not being penalized by being quarantined when they go back.
Outside of Britain, global tourism, the tourists coming in, where are they coming from? Are you seeing particular growth areas in different regions? And has their behavior changed? Are they staying longer? Are they spending more? Who are Dubai's tourists right now?
There are a lot of people who I would say are staying longer. I think the pattern is becoming a bit more of staying longer, especially because I think of the not being able to travel for such a long period of time. And also a lot of them, even though they're comfortable in Dubai, the convenience and the comfort of having facilities within the hotels as well, you're seeing spend patterns change a bit, but also spending more. So that's kind of helping as well, especially the stakeholders. Now, from where they're coming from, it all depends. We are ready with our campaigns. When I told you about the strategy, at that point in time, we were focusing on 6 or 7 traditionally strong markets for us. We then said, as part of the strategy, we're going to be focusing on 20 key markets and the next 20 as well, because at any given time, we need to be able to be nimble enough to shift.
Yeah.
Since 2019 and previously, we were focusing on 50 odd markets with our campaigns as well. So as you can see, we've really branched out.
Right.
And why? That diversified approach helps us, A, open up new segments, B, support the carriers, the local carriers, as well as encouraging more flights from domestic carriers as well. And more importantly, C is if in case any one market, for any given reason, something happens that they slow down or whatever, we can immediately plug in that gap with other markets as well. So it leaves almost like the destiny in our hands and in our control. So I think that was key as part of that strategy approach. Now, what we've seen during this period of time is markets where we were seeing growth, but it was healthy, but not as dramatic as we saw post-COVID, was, for example, markets like France. Again, because many of them thought they knew Dubai, and they found that Dubai was only glitzy and glamoury, and that was what Dubai was about. But when they actually found themselves in Dubai, they went out and about in Dubai, they met French communities in Dubai, and they saw the neighborhoods and how people live their life in Dubai. It changed their perspective completely. And we've seen a surge in travel from France, for example. Other countries, like, for example, from Ukraine, you can see Kazakhstan, numbers are growing as well. They were always part of a focus for us, but we can see that now it's opening up more and more from their perspective as well. So CIS is a key target area for us as well. And of course, Africa is still an opportunity that we see that there is potential to grow even more with. And then, of course, the rest of the world, it all depends on how the staged approach would be with capacities going back to norm. And we will be, trust me, right behind that to ensure that we have our campaigns to attract people immediately.
What's the biggest lesson you learnt during the pandemic? And do you think Dubai tourism is stronger for having gone through it and come out the other side?
Yes, I think we are stronger only because it gave us a chance to regroup and refocus on a lot of things. There are many things that we had discussed over the years as great ideas, great initiatives, things that we should be thinking about, but we never got around to because we were just so stretched and busy in getting more and more tourists in. Well, alhamdulillah, because the numbers were growing, we were pushing in the right direction. All the energy was used in the right direction. But once COVID happened, virtual working program is not new. We've been talking about it for many, many years, but we never got around to executing on it until this happened. Golden visa, and also doing an active, personalized selling to all the high net worth individuals around the world, a lot of businesses, to speak to them, to find out, to explain to them why Dubai is the right place for them, and really work on a program to handhold them all the way through the process until they're in Dubai and settled. So those are the kind of things we talked about for such a long time, never got a chance to execute on it. But during the lockdown, we regrouped, put a strategy behind that, and really started pushing that. And now those two have become big programs for us going forward. One other thing that we'll be focusing on for sure, gastronomy, of course. Since launching Dubai Food Festival, we've been doing more of that, but we'll be speaking about that even more now. There'll be a lot of exciting things to talk about. But also, as I mentioned before, we have now started to be listed on those lists of one of the best cities to live in. But again, we were number 7. And as you mentioned earlier, we're not happy until we're number 1. So that's another thing that we're going to be focusing on going forward.
How much, Dubai tourism now is almost becoming the shop window for Dubai as an economic centre as well.
Yes.
If you're talking about those high net worth individuals who are coming to visit and then stay and set up shop. If we talk about the UAE's got big ambitions to become one of the best places in the world for talent attraction and retention. So you've got a really important mission these days. It's not just tourism and tourism contributing to a pot of cash. You're actually a massive contributor to the overall success of Dubai moving forward. That's a lot of pressure, Issam.
It is, but it's something that we welcome because I think when we talk about private-public relationship all the time, but there is also from the public side of things as well that a lot of these programs and initiatives are happening not just from our efforts, but the efforts of others as well. The amount of times that we're in regular discussion with them, regular meetings with them, workshopping with them, bringing in the private sector as well to pick their brain, to understand from their perspective what's missing, what's lacking, how can things be done better as well. All of those things are happening with complete support from the industry as a whole. And then when you look at the senior stakeholders of the city and the leadership of the city as well, how they are personally involved in every single element to say, we're here, what support do you need? Are there any bottlenecks? How can we help you smooth that thing out? The amount of changes that we made with the visa policies, things that take years in other places to get done. We've done them overnight in Dubai. So those are the kind of things that not only helps us, But those are the kind of decisions that drive the decision makers from around the world to choose Dubai as a destination, because they know that if there is something that they're not happy with or something that's not working for them, they can meet the right people and they can make things happen and make those changes and see it progress from then on.
Now, if you look around Dubai and look at its tourism offering,
Yeah.
I'd say it's pretty good right now. But the 2040 plan, it outlines a vision where Dubai's just getting started in
Yes.
terms of tourism. What can we expect over the next decade? I mean, give us some exclusives.
I think, look, from a 2040 perspective, we've always been talking about Dubai historically, what it's done, how Dubai has been that fishing village and pearl diving village, and how it used to welcome and make everyone feel at home, regardless of nationality, regardless of culture. And that is something that's intrinsic in Dubai as a community. And that's what is unique about Dubai and what Dubai has to offer. So we've really been able to build on that platform up until today. But going forward from here, we need also to understand how things are evolving, the dynamics of even the individuals, the younger generation. They think differently, they act differently. So we need to adapt to that as well. And what's different about Dubai is that Dubai has always been living with an entrepreneurial spirit. Dubai has hence why we've been able to be so nimble and agile to make those decisions so quickly and fix and turn as and when needed.
Gear up and gear down as you needed.
100%.
Yeah.
So I think with the 2040 plan, one of the things that I mentioned earlier is being the best city to live, because it is something that we can focus on business. We can make all the right regulations and legislations in place to ensure that people, their businesses feel comfortable. Secure this, secure that. That's amazing. That's perfect. Safety and security. Of course, that's important. But now when people think of Dubai, those things are more or less taken for granted. So when you think about the livability of the city, you think about Dubai not just as a visiting destination, but as somewhere that you can raise your children, raise your family, and it is somewhere you can tell people, I'm not going anywhere else. You should be thinking of Dubai, or people getting jealous of you because you live in Dubai. And that's where the change needs to happen. And I think the urban plans that they have in place, all of these things that they're thinking about will all lead to this one big factor.
Now, this is the bit where I get you to do my job for me. What's the one question I should be asking you? Or what's the one question you wish someone would ask you? Because you're just itching to tell them.
I think, look, I mean, when it goes back to the same thing, when I'm talking to someone who lives here, we always end up exploring or discussing the same points that we either know of or are aware of. There's so many things that are happening on a regular basis in Dubai that it might not be top of mind for us. I mean, I'm educated about Dubai every single time we have ATM or we have people and fam trips visiting us here in Dubai, that we get a chance to explain to them about what's going on, or they tell me the itineraries that we've created and what they've been able to see, which in many cases is new to me as well. So I think from Dubai and how it evolves and how the landscape of Dubai evolves, there is so much that we still need to catch up on ourselves to be able to be better hosts and better tour guides for our guests when they come to Dubai, not from a professional perspective, but also on a personal perspective as well.
Thank you very much for your time today. Congratulations on today's event.
Thank you so much for hosting me, because I think it's speaking to people such as yourself that gives us a chance to get this message out there to as wide an audience as possible. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.